folks, Tom Amoroso, Columbus Saber Academy. Welcome back to our LED Sabering Basics video series. Today I want to talk about guards. Three in specifically. Middle guard, low guard, and high guard. Very, very basic. Yes, depending on the system you study, there are names in those languages, in those systems for those guards. We wanted to kind of strip all that away and get down to the bare bones for LED sabering, since really the background can be whatever you have and apply it to this weapon. Middle guard, low guard, high guard. We talked a little about middle guard in the footwork video. You saw that. I encourage you to get into middle guard to do your footwork. We're going to talk through it again a little bit more today, and then we're going to go to low guard and high guard, and then let you practice those and go through a little bit of a cycle. So let's start with middle guard. Feet are shoulder width apart, nice and relaxed. I'm going to take 2 half steps forward, turn out. Saber is out in front of me. My hand's at about sternum height, like I'm shaking hands with someone. In my front hand, rear hand's in the bottom of the saber. Saber's pointed toward my opponent's eyes. So in the video you can see the saber is about at my eye height. Why do I do that? A lot of different ways. One, it's good mechanics, it's good form and good structure. Two, there's the theory that, humans, we don't see depth perception well, so with the blade of my saber pointing at your eyes, it's a little more difficult for you to judge its length, thereby my position to you. So there's a little bit of subtlety in that as well. Fencing is the art of trying to deceive your opponent, or at least in my opinion. I think a lot of people share that. And this is one way to do that. So middle guard, we go on the side. Shoulder width apart, 2 steps forward, turn that left foot out, hands out in front of you, saber's in that hand. We teach a two-handed style here, you all know that. So you're going to see me always using 2 hands in this basic series. Right hand's all the way towards the top, left hand is the bottom. This is a mechanical device, it's a lever, right? So I want that spacing. Yes, there are techniques. Yes, there's always an exception. Yes, there's a yes, yes, yes to everything that we do. There's always a but. What I want you to do is practice the basics, get good at those basics, and then you can kind of evolve those as you progress. So we're here. Middle guard. Very simple. Very defensive guard, right? I'm not giving my opponent any opening. If I'm in middle guard across from you, I'm not encouraging you to hit me anywhere. My blade's right in the center of my body. I'm not closing an inside line, or I'm not closing an outside line, or I'm not opening up an inside line or opening up an outside line, right? I'm right down in the middle. It's a very simple, protective stance. We'll start that. All of our drills start, I'll tell you, right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. That's where I want you to start. So, middle guard, boom. Low guard. Start to get into more strategy now. Start to get into more invitations, right? Where I'm taking my stance, my saber, dropping it down toward my opponent's feet, knees, floor. It really depends on what your intention for the guard is. From a side view, dropping it down. Now, one of the things I'm not doing is I'm not straightening out this wrist, because what happens, I get this break in this wrist here, and then I lose structural integrity with the stance. So I'm lowering it. My front hand drives where I want it to be. Low guard is great because what happens is if I'm up in middle guard, very defensive position, when I drop in a lower guard, I actually open this entire high line up for an attack. So I start to give my opponent opportunities to hit me and encouraging them to hit me where I want them to hit me. That way I can prepare responses to that, and if my opponent takes me up on the invitation, then I can have a few canned responses that I can kind of work through before I just have to resort to muscle memory and technique tactics, right? So, middle guard, low guard, middle guard. Low. Doesn't matter if I'm right foot forward or left foot forward. Low guard. So let me face the opposite direction. 2 steps forward, out, saber's out front. Here's our middle guard position. Low guard, drop that saber down. And again, right foot forward or left foot forward, middle guard, low guard. Pretty straightforward. Third guard we want to cover, high guard. We're going to start middle guard with this one because I like to, if I just start in a high guard position, I'm not really encouraging my opponent to hit me. It's like a boxer starting 10 feet away from their opponent, or someone in a street fight starting way out of distance to their opponent in that fighting stance. You're telling your opponent everything, right? So I'm not going to immediately come up and start into a high guard when I'm out of measure to my opponent. I want to use the action of moving into the guard as a way to draw my opponent in for my counterattack or my initial attack. So I'm going to start in my middle guard position. From here, I'm going to take my left foot, I'm going to step back. As I do, I'm going to raise the saber up over my head. So you can see my foot positioning didn't change. My angle of my back foot is still perpendicular to my front foot. The saber is up over my head. I'm looking through my arms, not blocking my face. I'm not trying to peek around my saber. Saber's up, looking through it. Right? I'm also pulled away all the targets from the front of my body. So let's turn sideways and do it here. So right foot forward. I'm going to step forward a little bit so I can pull back into frame. Step back into high guard. Immediately what happens is I have this flat plane of void, right, of empty space. I don't have my arms out in front of me in middle guard. I don't have my head in frame if I'm in a low guard where I'm trying to encourage a head strike. I'm actually stepping back and I'm creating this void of space in front of me that I want to draw my opponent in. Quite honestly, I want them to be here and I want to use this movement to draw them forward. The minute I do that, I can counterattack to the top of the head. And there's a lot of different foot positions I can do with that and a lot of different ways I can do that kind of stop attack. So again, right foot forward, middle guard, step back into high. Yes, I can do left foot forward, middle guard, step back into right foot high. Doesn't really matter, we have to be ambidextrous, right? We have a lot of space to work in. We don't fight in a strip. We want to fight in an open area. Want to take advantage of that as much as we can. So we don't want to be one side forward. If you tend to have a dominant side, practice switching the other side. I'd rather you be in here practicing and losing, because that's what practice is for, to practice new techniques and learn new techniques, than always doing the 2 or 3 things that you do well. You do those 2 or 3 things you do well all the time, I'm going to ask you to go sit down, think up something new to do, come back out and try it, right? So if you're always right foot dominant, switch, and you're going to fight left foot dominant. Change it up. Look at your opponent's footwork. Mirror them. Opposite them, right? Or, you know, mix it up a little bit so you have a little bit of variety in what you're learning and more tools in your toolbox to use going forward. So that's enough. I talked too much. Let's go through a few different ones. So middle guard, low guard, step back into high guard, drop down into middle guard, low guard, step forward into high guard, right? You can go in any direction you like. We'll add in the other guards. We have 8 guards that we really practice here in the school. We'll add in those other 5, and then we have a full cycle we can do as a little bit of a guard pattern over the next couple videos. But for now, practice those 3. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.